In 2023, Cadillac made major revisions to the CT5V Blackwing. The addition of a Blackwing badge forced me to completely reevaluate this car from the ground up.
If I was ever to let them monkeys out of the house, they'd be running this town inside a week.
Inside the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, and as this car is about to receive a rumored mid-cycle refresh where I'm sure Cadillac is going to screw the interior and exterior of this car, I wanted to highlight what they did right. Yes, this car is expensive as tested. It is slightly north of $107,000 and it is not fully loaded, but I will say this car manages to touch on all of the things I love about four-door sedans. This is a bit of a dinosaur, and what I mean by that is Cadillac is still building a truly usable four-door sedan. It's got a giant trunk, a very big back seat, and two comfortable buckets in the front of this vehicle. You have good visibility, you have good storage, and most importantly, it finds a good mix between traditional usability, all physical controls for HVAC, drive modes, and infotainment, with feeling modern and mostly isolated. This is not the quietest luxury car on the planet, but this thing eats up miles. Great, it's a comfortable space. You always feel like you have good room, and all of the core technology pieces are essentially idiot-proof. Really, the only con I have, other than the fact that you can argue that this does not feel like a $100,000 cabin with some of the materials, is the electronic parking brake. While I do love the manual shifter and I do think the pedal box is excellent, the little chintzy parking brake button to the left of the steering wheel is a bit of a downer. Past that though, this is an interior space we covered at some length in our original video, so let's head into the shop. In the shop with the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, and as you probably guessed, yes, this is one of my very favorite vehicles, and for your sake and mine, this is going to be a crash course on this particular Caddy. If you want to learn everything there is to learn about this vehicle and its little brother, the CT4V Blackwing, I highly suggest you watch our original videos on both of these cars. So what do you need to know? Well, this is of course powered by the LT4 V8. It is a pushrod V8 with an Eaton supercharger. It is a titanium valve train and it is direct injected. In this configuration, it makes 668 horsepower and 659 foot-pounds of torque. It's good for 0 to 60 in sub 4 seconds. It is also a wet sump V8, unlike the LT4 that was found in the C7 Z06. However, this car did have all of its cooling addressed, so it is highly track capable. This car has either a 10-speed automatic gearbox, which you should not get, or God's gearbox, the 6-speed manual. This gearbox was assembled by Tremec. They put their power down through an E differential as standard. We've talked about GM's E-diff ad nauseum at this point. It looks at what drive mode you're in, what performance traction management mode you're in, to look at locking and unlocking ratios, to do their best to keep this car going straight and putting all of its power down. It is a very effective setup. It'll even cut spark and timing of the engine to keep you going straight. Two things to note about the engine very quickly. It does have AFM, which is active cylinder management, and of course it has ASC, active sound enhancement. So yes, not all of the glorious V8 noises are actually coming from the exhaust or engine. Some of them are fake, unfortunately. What do you need to know about the chassis? Well, this is on the Alpha platform, and no, it is not a direct carryover from the prior generation CTS-V. There are structural improvements and there are geometry changes. So there's more caster in the front end of this vehicle, so the geometry is more similar to the current generation Camaro ZL1. It does have GM's 4th generation MR dampers. They are built by BWI, and what makes them unique is their ability now to prioritize wheel control or body control. So this can either ride well or it can control its wheels to a greater degree, so it has active squat and anti-dive control, giving it the maximum amount of body control. What do you need to know about the brakes? Well, they are brake-by-wire, or what GM calls e-boost. Well, yes, there is a hydraulic backup. The actual pedal feedback is controlled by a load cell. It is all digital, and you either have steel rotors or Brembo carbon ceramic rotors. They are both track capable, and the primary difference is unsprung mass and, of course, their thermal capacity. The only reason you would not pick the carbon ceramics is the cost to replace and the cost to buy. But with that, I think it's time for us to take this vehicle for a quick drive around Autobahn Country Club. Believe in warm-ups, Mark. God, believe in my PTM modes. This guy. Oh! Yeah! Oh! Of course, when we did this before, it was raining, and I was like, oh man, what a disappointment now. Dude. I love this car. I love everything about this car. We are basically not driving on this track. We are sailing. Man the guns, Mark. I can't even hold myself in this fucking seat. What I will say is, for how big this car is, it is incredible on track. The brakes are amazing. The LT4 is amazing. The PTM works well. God! I'm gonna take your GM microchip out. You hear that, Mark? That's the sweet sound of push rods. Yeah! Oh! Oh! The one thing I will say about this car is, in typical modern performance car fashion, it's got some long gears. Why would you want short gears anyway? All you do is obliterate the tires. Oh, you would never do that in a car like this, Mark. A car like this is driven by a gentleman. Yeah, this is not a gentleman car. It says Cadillac, Mark. Why wouldn't it be a gentleman's vehicle as I turn into turn one? Oh, no. No, dude, I would never do anything like this. God, this car is fucking incredible. What's not to like? Oh. All right, Jack, let's get into the final thoughts.
Final thoughts on the CT5V Blackwing. I gotta be honest, this is not my type of car. I had to deal with Jack raving about it, getting on phone calls in the background on Bluetooth, and all I hear is V8 and tires shredding. And you know, this is the type of car that he would put on his wall, a poster of it, and with a tub of Vaseline next to it. That's how much he likes it. So of course, instinctively, I hate it. But it took me about 10 minutes of driving it to realize it's just amazing. It's that rear-wheel drive formula with an amazing manual transmission. It rides great, it's quiet, and it is ballistically fast. And everybody overuses that term. It is so fast for how big this thing is. There's literally no compromises. It's the perfect example of how you do a super sedan for someone who loves to drive, who it instantly turns you into an asshole. There's so much fun to be had. And there's nothing else like this. This is like the last of its kind of experience. If you have the money and the time, you will not regret buying this car. The only problem is my fear just driving it, and I'm not this type of guy, but it's a car that I fear for my driver's license. I fear I'm gonna get arrested in it because it takes you to the next level of wanting to do stupid stuff in it. In 10 years, this is gonna be the official street takeover car, guaranteed, because all it wants to do is obliterate tires and make noise, and that's part of its charm. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.